think it's working. There we go. All right. Excuse me. Okay. So today, I just want to do a quick live and talk about how the portal in the ArcGIS API for JavaScript, and not just the JavaScript API, but the REST API, actually provides some helper services that you can use for your applications. So let me fix my phone. Sorry about that. Always forget to do that. Okay, so how something like that work? So if you go to the documentation for the portal object and you come down to properties, there's a lot of stuff on here, right? Most of this stuff you will probably never use. I mean, even if you're doing development and you're accessing portal, you're probably not going to need most of this stuff. And a lot of it is pretty specific to building a application around, like using a portal and everything. And maybe if you want to do some portal searching kind of stuff, it's in there. But one thing that's interesting in here is helper services. So the helper services are provided by the portal. So they are set up on your portal. Close that. And they provide URLs to, it's an object that has URLs to all these different services. Things for the elevation layers, closest facility, geometry service, print service, route service, and service area, right? Now there is helper methods to create these various tasks as well in the portal if you didn't know about that. But for the 420 release, 421, I don't even know what release I'm on right now. For the 420 release, the those tasks are actually deprecated at this point. So there's no deprecation messages yet on the helper methods themselves. So they're down here, create elevation layers and something like that. I'll be adding those for the next release, so you'll get some deprecation methods there. But you don't need them, right? You really don't need to use them, because that helper services is going to have everything you need to get started. So I'm going to show you how to use something like that for, say, doing route tasks. So I've got the route task demo here from the API, the sample. And let's just go ahead and make this a little bit bigger, like so. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I actually want to take all this code, because I'm going to get fancy. I want to use async await. I don't want to write a bunch of dot then chaining promises and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function, call it init, and that's where all my work is going to go, and I'll just activate it right off the bat. And I can make sure this works as expected if I just go ahead and paste all of that code in here. Can you hear screaming? Because there's kids like across the street, like having a party or something. I don't know. There's like some screaming going on. Okay, so let's move that. Okay. Now if I refresh, this is still just work, right? Yeah, everything just works. Just show how this works here. You click here, and bam, there you go. And you notice I manually have to add the URL for the route task here. So, I mean, yeah, I don't want it to do that. Okay, and I've already got my API key here. That's cool. But, yeah, I don't want to have to do this task part here. And I definitely don't want to have to manually load that URL. I don't know it. So if I'm using portal, I can get around this. So let's go ahead and do this here. Actually, I should probably go up here and do it. So first thing I need to do is I need to bring in the portal. So Esri portal / portal. There we go. So let's add portal over here. Not portal. Portal. There we go. Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and say that const portal is going to be equal to new portal. Now this is where you can go ahead and initialize the portal to be your portal, right? Maybe your online org or your enterprise portal. It doesn't really matter. All right, I'm just going to let it be the default. The default is going to be just arcgis.com. So all of the default services that are used for arcgis.com are going to be available to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and do an await portal.load. Now, so you can see what this looks like, we're going to go ahead and console.log, because console.log always works. We're going to portal what's it called again? Helper services. Now, I think the reason it's just a plain object because there's no like I don't think there's a defined schema for which services could be on that object, right? Um, you could probably have more, especially if it's an enterprise portal. There might be some more services in there, and you might not have traffic, for example, might not be in there, but you've got all these different services available to you, and the URLs are already defined for you to use, right? Like geocode, you've got, I don't know why it's an array, maybe, oh, probably because you can have multiple geocode services. Yeah, you can have multiple geocode services available on your portal, right? So maybe you have a geocode service for streets, and maybe you got another one for parcel centroids, and I've seen people create geocode services for manholes, right? So you can do it like that, and you search by manhole ID or something. So you got multiple exposed here. We are interested in the route URL, right? So I want to take this route URL and use it. I don't care about the default travel mode. I guess just I don't know what this means. I thought travel mode was like a string of like walking or driving or something, but maybe this is kind of ID of some sort. Magic, who knows? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do something like this. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. I mean, I can close this now. Now that I've shown you what it's like. So now I know what I'm interested in. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the const route URL is gonna be equal to services.route.url, like that, right? Okay, so now I've got the URL available to me. Now I do not want to use the route task, because remember, route task is deprecated at this point. All right, so what we're going to do then is we're going to bring in Esri REST route. So route is one of the new services that was brought into the API. Sorry, REST is like the new way you can go ahead and there's just functional methods to do the same thing you can with task. Right, but they're not stateful, right? You don't create a class to do it. The idea here being that there are certain tasks like geometry service, for example, is probably the biggest one. Query task as well. They have a lot of methods on them, and then when you use your application, you might not use all those methods. So you don't necessarily want the entire class and its dependencies installed if you don't need them, right? So you just bring in these individual methods to use them instead. So I'll just call this route. And on the route, it's actually be called route.solve, like route task.solve. So let's get rid of this here. Don't need it. Okay, so I don't need that. If I try and run the app now, everything should be broken. But what I do want to do is I come down here, and we're going to skip over all this stuff because I'm not showing how to do the demo. I'm showing how to use the portal services and the REST route one, right? So that is done here. All right, so here's where the route task would normally do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to route. Right, the route has a solve method. Technically, there's just a solve method, but the way you can import it, you can import in the object and then just use that .solve on it. But for that .solve, and actually I should probably go to the documentation. So let's go here, bam, like so. If you come down to Esri REST and you come down to route, you can see how it kind of works. Kind of just basic. It's same doc as like with route task, because it does the same thing, but it does expose a solve method here, and it takes a URL and parameters. So I need to pass the URL to that here. Da, da, da. Okay. So where am I? Route serve, and I want the route URL that I got from the portal. So now I'm not manually typing in my route URL. So let's go ahead and refresh it. Now cross your fingers. I click here, and I click here, and it still works. There you go. Look at that. I tell you the truth, I'm kind of happy that worked the first try. That's kind of why I went with an SDK demo and didn't try to rewrite the whole thing for this YouTube live, because I just want to show how it works, right? But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a quick, easy way to update your apps. If you're using any of these tasks, the same principles apply. The same kind of idea here, right? Find the comparison REST method, and they should be linked in the task. If I come down to route task, you'll get a deprecated message up here. It tells you to use route instead. So you come over here to route, and you go ahead and you can move over to using it that way. The method names should all be very similar to what were on the task names. I tried to keep them consistent, and thankfully had people reviewing my PRs to make sure they stayed consistent because I was getting a little funky every here and there. But yeah, and the idea is that you just pass the URL and you pass the parameters now. Some of them do have an option to pass some extra parameters, and those parameters that do not have anything to do with the service, but have some other some other stuff that happens here and there. I don't know, might be on geoprocessors. I don't even know where you might find that, but they're not a lot. It only happens a couple of spots. But yeah, there you go. Man, that was a short live we had going there. But basically, that's how you can do it. You can bring the route service, use the portal, get your helper service to get URL. Okay. Like I said, we have a ton of URLs you can use. You can use this for closest facility. Looks like there's this location allocation, so it's the logistics stuff. I've not used this, so I don't know. Haven't used the cost matrix either, so I don't know. All of these different ones in here. Wow, there's a lot in here. I didn't even realize there are this many services. But yeah, these are all the back-end location services you could use for your applications. That's nice. But yeah, so if you find some use in this, go for it. Try it out. It's much easier than typing in the URL every time you build your app, right? Especially if you're going to do some portal stuff. And if you're just going to use the default URLs anyway, just give it a shot. I think one thing to note here is that if you are using one of the default services, the API, because you provide an API key, it's going to go ahead and swizzle it to the, well, I guess not swizzle, it's going to convert it to the API key version for the URL that you want to use. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got, folks. If you got any questions, you know how to find me. Easiest way to hit me up is on Twitter for any questions at all. You can drop questions on this video. Once again, please go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe. It helps out the channel, helps me out. Let's go for that 1,000. I need like about 250 more subs to hit the 1,000 mark there. So let's go ahead and see if we can do that. Share these videos out. I have some other stuff coming up that might be video format, I think, as well. They're definitely going to be written format that I'll be putting on odo.net in the future. I'm still working on them, so don't expect them right away. Maybe another month out or so before you start seeing that stuff trickle out. But I think you're going to like it, definitely for beginners. So let's see what happens there.